Hello and welcome to Saturday at 3 p.m. So we'll need a block and then also having a strap or strap-like object today. And we're going to start lying down on the floor, having that strap nearby. So coming down, you can have the legs straight or bent, either one. And then really feeling the weight of your body into the floor. So we're being very easeful, but still very present. Noticing what parts of your body are touching the floor, what parts are a little light and just suspended, and what parts might not be touching the floor at all. And bringing your attention to your breath, feeling that rise and fall of the inhale and exhale. And then gently easing that breath out a little longer, a little deeper. Maybe noticing in your body another layer or two of softening and letting go. A little bit more ease of the weight of the body into the floor. And then let's all extend our legs out straight if they're not straight. And then we'll engage a little bit more actively, flexing the feet there, standing on the opposite wall, feeling a little length through the top of the head. Inhale and exhale. And then bending the right leg in, and we'll pull that thigh toward the chest, knee reaching toward your head, and reaching even longer down through the front of the left leg, stretching out the front of the left hip. And then getting your belt. And so let's bend our left leg up as we extend our right leg to make it a little easier for that right leg to extend. And then we'll straighten the right leg up, foot in the belt, pressing up through the foot, standing on the ceiling, feeling the weight of the back of the pelvis into the floor. And then flexing the left foot, sliding that left leg out to straight again. So remember to be kind and patient with your body. This is just the first thing we're doing, so it might not be your biggest stretch ever. Just keep breathing, encouraging those legs to lengthen. And then belt into the right hand, bringing that leg out to the diagonal side. And again, just working with your body as it is in this moment. Maybe it wants to be a little bit more easeful rather than trying to rigorously anchor that left hip. Going for a little bit more of an easeful stretch by letting yourself tip a little to the right. Maybe that right foot and the right leg will land on the floor. Or maybe you're fine with that left hip anchored down. And we'll bring the right leg back up to the center, passing the belt off to the left leg. Right arm out to the side, bringing that right leg across to the left. Again, maybe if the straight leg seems a little bit of a strain at this moment, just taking your foot out of the belt and doing it with the bent right knee. And that nice spiral stretch from the right knee across that right outer hip, up through the spine, out the front of the right shoulder, out the right fingertips. And then coming back to the center and bringing that right leg down, straightening it out again. Taking a moment, finding that Supta Tadasana, long and flat. And then we'll bend the left leg in, pulling the thigh into the chest, reaching long through the front of the right hip. I'm taking a few breaths here. And then getting your belt, let's bend the right leg so we can extend that left leg up a little bit more easily. And extending the left leg up in the belt. Standing on the ceiling, letting the back of the pelvis sink into the floor. And then flexing the right foot, sliding the right leg out to straight, adding that lengthen and stretch along the front of the right leg, the right hip joint to what we're doing. So we're actually stretching both legs, even though the left leg might be the more obvious one. And breathing here. Couple more breaths. And then belt into the left hand, bringing that leg out to the diagonal side. And then maybe making whatever little adjustments you want to make this more useful to yourself, to your body in this moment. Rolling to the side, letting the left leg rest on the floor, if that feels better. And then we'll bring that left leg up to the center, passing it off to the right hand, left arm out to the side, taking the left leg across to the right. And if it's fine, keeping it out there in the belt, or maybe bending the knee, letting the inner left foot rest on the inside of the right leg. Long line from the left knee, spiraling across the left outer hip, up through the lower back, out that left shoulder, out the fingertips. One more deep breath. And coming back to the center. And bringing that left leg down. Take a moment standing on both legs. And we'll interlock the fingers. Turn the palms up to the ceiling. Stretch the arms up overhead. Long and flat along the floor. So draw those shoulder blades a little into the upper back. Draw the outer edges of the shoulder blades in. And then release the hands. And let's make our way right away to downward facing dog. And even though we have improved hamstrings, walking that dog, getting the calves and ankles and toes maybe a little warmed up. Or anything else you want to do. And then finding the best downward facing dog you can do at this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. And let's come forward to the plank, pulling those shoulder blades along the sides of the back, feeling long and flat against the ceiling, just like we were long and flat against the floor a few moments ago. And then we're coming down to all fours, but taking your time. Bend the knees and then feel like you're pulling the knees toward the hands and shifting the hips a little bit back over the knees. And suspending there with the shins an inch or two above the floor for a few more breaths. And then letting those knees touch down. And we'll take a few cats and cows, getting some ripples in the spine. Making a little more space between each vertebrae. And so putting whatever little creative things on that cat and cow you want to do. And then finishing with that, and we'll Asta Namaskar, knees, chest, chin to the floor, to the cobra. Big arch in that lower back, pulling the upper chest forward, bringing it down any amount. So you can go to the cobra right from here, still suspended above the floor. Maybe that upper chest can get all the way down for a moment. And then we'll slide out to the cobra. Just whatever cobra you have there. Squeezing the elbows alongside, pulling them back. Reaching forward through the collarbones and then lengthening down. Elbows back, top of the head forward. Two more small cobras, lengthening up and lengthening down. Reaching through the legs as well. Once more. And then peeling up to downward facing dog. And let's lift that right leg up, reaching long through the heel, reaching down through the left heel into the floor. The more we reach down, the more we can extend up. Let's bend that right knee, dog at the high fire hydrant. Press the left inner thigh against the center line. And through to the lunge. Feeling that long line, top of the head out the left foot. And then we'll end Jayasana. Pressing the tailbone down to bring the left knee down. Coming up with the torso. Inhale up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And let's interlock the fingers behind. Give the shoulders a roll out. Lift up the front of the body a little more. And then release the hands back up overhead. Strong pull into the center and namaste. And then we will move our right foot a little to the left. Bring the left knee forward. Matsayandrasana. Inhale and exhale, standing on those sitting bones. And let's twist to the right towards your top leg. Inhale and exhale. And if you like, you can bring the left arm across. Coming back to the center. And then we're going to take that right leg down into Gomukhasana, pulling the right foot back and the right knee down. So if this is too much for your knee joints or hip joints at this point, you can use the crossed leg Sukhasana. All right, so here we are. And we're squeezing in that Gomukhasana, or maybe a little bit more width in Sukhasana, the cross legs. And let's interlock the fingers overhead, pulling the elbows wide, pressing up, grounding down long and flat against the wall behind you. And for those in Gomukhasana, really pressing those knees down toward the floor, pulling up in the lower abdomen, making as much space as you can. And then slowly coming forward, reaching out, long hands still overhead. And then release the hands into the floor, pouring forward, breathing across the back of the body. And coming up, disentangling the legs, expanding into the forward bend. Taking a few breaths here, balancing the weight on the feet, maybe holding on to the back of the ankles or calves, giving a little pull like you're trying to pull the heels up. Pull that head gently down a little bit more. And let's make our way back to downward facing dog. Concave back, folding over, vinyasa or not, any version, downward facing dog. So I'm going to Asta Namaskar again for those who want to come along with me. In the plank, all fours, big arch, forward and down and up. And then there we all are in downward facing dog. And let's go on the left. Lifting that left leg up, reaching the right heel for the floor. Feel how that reaching into the floor can help the left leg lift up more. And bending the left knee, dog at the high fire hydrant. Right inner thigh pressing against the center line. And then through to the lunge. Taking a long line from the top of the head to the right heel for a moment. And then bringing that right knee down to come up in Anjayasana. And bringing those arms down to interlock the fingers behind, give the shoulders a little roll, lifting all the way up the front of the body, lifting up and over. And release the hands back up overhead. Namaste in front. And then we'll move our left foot a little over to the right to bring the right knee under into Matsyasana. Standing on those sitting bones long through the top of the head. And twisting to the left toward the top leg. Inhale and exhale. Maybe taking that right arm across if it isn't already, or any other variation you want to do. And coming back to the center and going to either go Mukasana, the cow face, pulling that left foot back, trying to squeeze the knees and the thighs together, or else Sukhasana, the crossed legs. And then interlocking the fingers, giving the elbows a pull, pressing up, grounding down, and then try to press down with those knees. Pull the lower abdominal muscles in and up, making as much space as you can in that hinge of the hip joints. And release. No, wait, don't release the hands. Sorry, we have to keep the hands interlocked as we start forward. Easing your way out with each breath. And then releasing the hands into the floor. Coming up, and this time before we go to the forward bend, let's disentangle those legs, and we will do the wide V-sit, legs up in the air out to the side, or if you don't feel like coming up in the air out to the side, you can always slide out and come to Konasana with the forward bend. All right, for those of us going up, holding on behind the thighs, under the calf, holding the feet whatever you can. Balancing up on those sitting bones. Lift through the top of the head, shoulders down. Extending those legs out. Both sides out. Both legs out to the side in the belt at the same time. And even though you might be getting a lot of support from the arms holding the legs, still reach through the legs, make the legs work for themselves as well, and then we'll breathe. And one more deep breath. Reach and lift a little more, and then folding in. Ha. And we'll expand up into the forward bend. Balancing the weight on the feet. We'll be doing that, hold the ankles and give a little pull again. Top of the head reaching for the floor. And then let's come up to standing. Into a big front body yawn. A little bit more. And pressing those arms down long through the top of the head. Sides down, center line going up. And then let's swoop our arms back up overhead. Lengthen a little more, and then diving forward. Concave back, folding over, jumping or stepping back through the vinyasa, and let's linger in the upward facing dog or the cobra or whatever pose you're in. And if you don't want to do the vinyasa, you can just come back and take yourself to one of those back bending poses with our belly facing the floor. So I just took like a simple pull into upward facing dog. You can also be doing kneeling upward facing dog. And then taking a few breaths where you are, feeling that sling you're making with the front of the body, a hammock there so we're not just splatting the front of the body, and a little contraction across the back, squeezing whatever size giant ball you have there on your back. So even though we're sort of swooping down with our body here, we're also squeezing and lifting up and over. And then we'll make our way back to downward facing dog, maybe with a couple cat and cow ripples along the way. And let's lift our right leg up, reaching long through the heel, and going to that dog at the high fire hydrant again. And through to the lunge. And let's come up in either the high lunge or the warrior number 1. And then in this pose, there's a little bit of that squeezable with the back of the body, supporting from the front of the body, even though now we're facing the wall in front of us more than the floor. And then let's take the right hand back to the left leg, lifting a little more up and open. And a windmill down, standing split. Shifting the weight forward and uplifting that left leg any amount. Long through the top of the head and then trying to feel that top of the head pouring toward the floor. And maybe taking the right hand to the back of the left ankle or calf and doing that pull like you're trying to pull your heel up to pull yourself a little more down. It also just sort of increases the intensity and work in the right leg, even if you don't really stretch a lot more. And then we will take a big step back with the left foot back to the lunge. And swooping that right foot back, right leg back up into three-legged dog, back to dog at the high fire hydrant. Maybe waterfall into the wild thing if you feel ready for that. And once again, we're squeezing big balls on the back of the body. And so what happens with that support from the front body here, we still want to have that, not just letting your ribs splat up. Mine might be, but I'm trying hard not to let them. And then we'll make our way back to downward facing dog, and or maybe a few breaths in child's pose if you like, or holding that dog. And then we'll do that all around on the left. Downward facing dog. Let's lift our left leg up. And dog at the high fire hydrant. Through to the lunge, coming up in the high lunge. Feeling that back bending action there. So we can do the actions energetically inside our body that aren't necessarily connected to where we're facing in the room where our relationship to gravity is. And then we'll take that left arm back to the right leg. And a big windmill down, coming up in the standing split. Right leg lifts wherever it can lift to. And then top of the head pours to the floor any amount. And maybe that left hand can go to the left back of the ankle or calf and do a pull, like you're trying to pull your left heel up off the floor. And a big step back to the lunge. And swooping the left leg up into three-legged dog. Dog at the high fire hydrant. Water falling to the wild thing or not. And then here, trying to contract with the back of the body. And the front of the body, we want it to stretch and expand, but not go splat. Feeling that just a little bit engaged still. And then back to downward facing dog. Taking a breath or two here in downward facing dog. And we'll all come to child's pose. And sliding out onto your stomach, into the Sphinx. Pulling back with the elbows long through the top of the head. Get those legs a little squeezed together, lengthening through the feet. And then reach a little longer through the feet, bending the knees. And so doing this version of the bow pose for a moment. Press the tailbone down. Feel the knees sliding back, upper back and heels reaching for each other. Getting that support on the front of the body. And maybe this is good enough. Or reaching back for the ankles and lengthening to lift. And coming down. And then let us peel ourselves back up with as many ripples as needed along the way to downward facing dog and going through a vinyasa or not. All right, let's lift our right leg up. And we'll go through to the lunge. And let's go to the warrior number 2. Turning that left heel down, coming up. Make sure that right knee tracks over the foot. Reaching a little back through the left side. Settling into your breath. And really feeling that right sitting bone anchored down as we go to the dancing warrior. Nice big round breaths here. And triangle, Trikonasana, pulling the right leg up and back as we tilt over, reaching long through the top of the head. And let's go up to Ardha Chandrasana. Bending the right knee, shifting the weight forward, and pressing the left side up to the ceiling, the right foot into the floor. So if you're really good at balancing here, you might be able to grab behind that right heel and pull up. Or just imagine it, making a little more strength and drawing up through the right leg. And then let's turn to face the right leg, lifting the left leg higher, if it will go, into the standing split. And then we'll do the Jiva squat, bending the right knee, pulling the left knee behind. Give those thighs a little squeeze like a standing up Gomukhasana, and then expanding out again. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhale and exhale, drawing in. Inhale and exhale, and once more. And then we'll bring the left leg down next to the right. Deep breath. Bend the knees, Utkatasana. And then let's bring the right leg across the left into the eagle pose. There we go. And you can take the arms, around to eagle pose arms or to namaste in front. Maybe like me, you're trying to balance with that right big toe on the floor there. All right, squeezing the thighs together, squeezing the outer shins together. And then squeezing up to standing, putting that right leg next to the left, long through the top of the head. And then we're going to pass off to the left leg and bring it out in front in Padangusthasana number 1. Maybe going somewhere, put your hand on the wall. All right, so we're lifting the left leg up now, bringing that thigh up, finding your balance there, and then extending that left leg forward. So if you want, you can get hold of the big toe or just extend it and hold. And bringing that left leg down long through the top of the head. Deep breath or two, samasthiti, steadiness. And let's make our way over. Big inhale up. And exhale, diving over. And continuing as usual, concave back halfway up. Folding over, vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. And then here we all are in downward facing dog, and our left leg will lift up. Through to the lunge, coming up in the warrior number 2. Reaching with that left inner thigh to the inner knee, a little reaching back with the right side. Inhale and exhale, settling into that breath, every breath in action. And then really anchoring that left sitting bone as we dance in warrior, bringing that left arm up. Breathing here. And then hinging into the triangle, drawing up that left leg, tilting, reaching long through the top of the head into Trikonasana, the triangle. And then up to Ardha Chandrasana, bending the left leg, shifting the weight, reaching up with the right side, pressing that left foot into the floor to bring you up. And then either maybe you can, or imagining you're getting hold of that left outer ankle and doing that pull. So even just thinking about it can put a little more strength and lengthen into your left leg. And we'll turn to the standing split. So even if that right leg is going down as you make that transition, try to have an intention of reaching longer and up, pouring down any amount in the top of the head. And then the Jiva squat. Big inhale and exhale, bend the left knee, a little pull back in that left hip joint as the right knee meets the back of the left. Squeeze those thighs together, a little lift in the abdominal muscles. And then 3 more times. Inhale to expand, exhale, contract and squeeze. And then holding here a few more breaths. And bringing that right leg down. And Utkatasana, bending the knees. And then let's cross the left leg over into the eagle pose, maybe bringing the hands to namaste, or the eagle pose arms, or balancing with your left big toe, breathing here. And then setting the left foot next to the right, pressing into the floor, expanding up. And we will lift the right leg up now, maybe going to have a little assistance. So the right leg will come up, thigh in front, taking a few breaths here, getting that balance. And then extending the right leg out, Padangusthasana number 1. So you can just extend here, or getting hold of the big toe if you would like, and we'll breathe. And then floating that right leg down, Tadasana Samasthiti. Taking a few breaths, steadying things, balancing the weight on the right and left foot again. If you're not at your mat, coming back to the front of the mat. And coming over. Big inhale up. And exhale, diving over. Concave back, folding over. And let's make our way back to downward facing dog. Really pressing back through the back of the legs, reaching back with the sitting bones. And then lengthening forward to the plank. So we're going to do a few yoga push-ups, which means instead of letting the elbows go out, they're going to go pull in and back in chaturanga shape. So you can be here, lifted, you can set the knees down. You also don't have to bend very much. So I'm going to stay up here in the plank, but my elbows aren't going to bend a lot. All right, here we go. Bending the elbows, pulling them back. Pause a moment. As you come up, pull up with the abdominal muscles flattening first, and the arms will follow. Let's do that a few more times. Lower any amount. Pause. Lifting up. The whole body lifts, the arms fall out. So just feeling this in your own shoulders. Don't be in a rush to do things. Don't think of it as strength building, even though it is. Think of it as deepening the awareness and feeling your strength. And we'll play around with this a few more breaths if we're still here. And then making your way back to child's pose. All right, so we're going to head for Hanumanasana, which is the splits as they are called. So you can take the low road there. You can step forward with your right leg into the lunge, and we'll all meet up in Anjayasana, the kneeling lunge. Or you can take the long way, sort of like we do with the pigeon. We will go to fire hydrant dog, maybe another waterfall to the wild thing, and then to that lunge. All right, so here we go. However you're going, I'm taking the long road, so maybe you're coming along with me as we come up in downward facing dog and take a breath. Lifting that right leg up, dog at the high fire hydrant, and then maybe waterfalling to the wild thing. Holding there, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 breaths, and we'll all be meeting up in an Anjayasana lunge. So if you're not at the lunge or on the way yet, making your way there, just with the hands on the floor, and feel like you're dragging the right heel back, stretching out a little more in the front of the left hip. Might want your block nearby for that split. And then we'll hinge back, flexing the right foot. So one way to work on this is to go back and forth between these 2 points. Forward to that Anjayasana for a few breaths, hinging back. And then maybe slowly sliding your heel out a little further every time. Maybe you're ready to start sliding it out. So it might take a lot of arm strength suspending you here. And think of that right sitting bone going to the floor. So try not to splay and do a little twist leftness there. Try to keep square. That's the yoga version anyway. Different than the gymnastics version a little bit. In the yoga version, we're trying to keep those hips really square. So it's like our high lunge was mushed down onto the floor. All right, here we are somewhere. Or maybe doing that hurdler's stretch with our back knee bent with the thigh rotated in, as long as that's all right for your knee. And in theory, you could bring both arms up here, just like in the pigeon. Or maybe we'll just try one arm, the right arm probably. And feeling that back bendiness. Contracting the back, but still supporting from the front. And then wherever you are, finishing up with whatever you might be doing. And then we will make our way out. So it kind of works well the pigeon way out, where we just roll onto our right hip and let that left knee bend. And then retrieving your right leg. And we will go around on the other side, the long road or the short road. Okay. So, long roaders, here we come up into downward facing dog. Lifting the right leg up. And dog at the high fire hydrant. Waterfalling to the wild thing. And holding here however many breaths you did on the first side. you're not at the lunge yet, making your way there. And then here we all are with our right knee on the floor in the Jayasana with the hands on the floor, feeling like you're dragging the left heel back, pulling yourself a little more forward. And then hinging back, flexing that left foot, pulling back. So maybe just doing these two options, forward and back, or doing it a couple more times before you head for the splits. So in keeping with the square yoga split, you want to make sure you're not sort of leading with that left outer side. You want to lead with the left inner thigh. And thinking of making a front to back line rather than just thinking of pulling the legs apart. Or maybe you're just pulling the legs apart. But just realize you're doing that. So if you have that little twist to the rightness and you're rolling a little bit onto the inner edge of your right foot, it's not really a bad thing. It's just not the yoga version of the splits, not Hanumanasana. All right, here we are somewhere, hopefully, and breathing, working with our body as it is in this moment. And maybe considering bringing the arms up. You might be able to bring both arms up. Or maybe one arm, in which case we'll bring the left arm up this time. And if you are bringing the arms up or even just sort of thinking about it, think about the back bendiness. The back muscles lift up and over and do a little contract. And we try not to splat the front of the body, but have that drawing in long and smooth, and then we try to breathe nice big round breaths. And we'll bring that one arm down. And contemplate our escape, as it were. All right, so maybe you can manage to sit off to the left side, letting the right leg bend. And then this time we will, instead of making our way back to downward facing dog, just bring that right leg around, both legs straight in front. And let's come forward. If you want to grab your belt and use it here, you can. Inhale and exhale, evening out the two legs. Maybe enjoying a deeper Paschimottanasana here than sometimes you might have after all that hamstring stretching we've done. And coming up, let's bring those legs back into Baddha Konasana. Feet together, knees out to the side. Coming forward. Inhaling and exhaling, breathing across the back of the body. And then coming up. And let's bring those legs in and roll ourselves down to the floor. And let's get our block. And we'll do the block under the sacrum. Or if you'd like to do a different back bend, go ahead. All right, Nima with the block, maybe choosing a higher height of the block than you usually do. And we could also have the options, but if you're going to choose the high height too, of maybe just staying with the feet on the floor, lifting there. And or extending the legs. Use that press on the block. And then looking for a kind of front body opening. That's what a back bend is. That is maybe a little more easeful, at least whatever is easeful for you at this moment. Sometimes, for instance, if you feel like you've got a little bit more fieriness burning in there, somewhat non-intuitively, maybe that big Dhanurasana, Urdhva Dhanurasana back bend is what is going to make you feel the most easeful. It's going to feel like what you need to round things out. There's the easeful that is relaxing the body, having it be supported, not having to make much effort at all. And then there's the easeful that balances out your body, balances out your mind, makes you feel that you have what you need. All right, so finishing up with whatever your version of easefulness is for this moment. And making our way down to the floor. And let's slide the legs out, and we'll bend the right leg in, and then taking that right knee across, reaching out through the right arm. Inhale and exhale. So of course, what you feel you need that might not fit the obvious definition of easeful. Maybe you want to grab the belt and do the foot in the belt, taking that long straight leg across again. And let's make our way to the other side, straightening out the right leg and the left leg in, pulling that across. And whatever version you are doing for you right now. Coming back to the center, and we will make our way to Shavasana. And as you start to come into Shavasana, just noticing, maybe especially if you did one of the more active easefulls, like the big Urdhva Dhanurasana or leg in the belt or something, does that seem like it was the right choice? Do you feel truly easeful, sinking easily into Shavasana? Or did you maybe agitate yourself a little? Did you go rather into easeful effort, maybe a little into that hyperdrive, that I need to work a little harder because that's what I need to do thing? So just observing that, no judgment. You weren't a bad person if you ended up with a little jaw clenching that you now have to let go of. Just noticing that. That's the first step. And then we're not going to notice anything anymore except the ease of our body into the floor, a gentle wave of the breath. And as we continue to stay here, maybe even that starts to recede into the distance, and we move closer to that place of just being. And then breathing back into your body, into the room. Moving the fingers and toes, maybe circling the wrists and ankles. Stretching the arms overhead. Bending the knees. And then gently making your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming, and thank you for taking this journey through space and time to meet me here at 3 p.m. on Saturday, or whatever time it is for you.